You're listening to the New World to Go podcast with your hosts, Redbyrd and BDLG.
Hello and welcome to another episode of New World to Go. I am your host, Redbyrd, and with me is BDLG. Bordy, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Yo, dude, doing pretty good, man. How are you, brother?
Doing great. We got a good show for you guys. We're on the cusp of another big announcement, I think. We're coming up on that date, Bordy, of a month exactly from the last time. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Of course, we have the company of the week this week, the Purple Dragons, man. That's a kind of a, very interesting, maybe it's a reference to the Syndicate, you know what I'm saying? Maybe they give it a little bit of nod to the colors of our tried and true faction. And then also, Bordy, we're going to talk about the setting or the lore or story or location behind Aeternum in New World. We got a pretty cool, maybe history lesson or failed history lesson because neither one of us are historians. But we're gonna take you guys through that and kind of have a little bit of fun speculating what they might do with this, colonial, exploration 1700 alternative universe type setting that's unique to New World. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. But first, guys, don't forget to check out our website, New World Fans, as we launch up into, as we get closer to launch. We're going to continue to put content over there. We're updating all of the map, everything like that as we speak. And Bordy, it's going to be hopefully a very good tool for everybody that's interested in New World.
Yeah, man. Lots of work has been going into that website. I think I said that wrong. Lots of work has been going in. Whatever. A lot of work has went into that website. We're excited for release, man. I think we're gonna have some really good things out there whenever that game releases. It's gonna be dope.
Yes, and guys, if you haven't followed the YouTube channel if you haven't subbed to the YouTube channel, the Studio YouTube channel, you should definitely do that. We're putting on 2 videos specifically on New World a week. As well as other content. So if you're into New World, guys, don't forget to check that out. Me and Bordy put a ton of work into that, and we'd appreciate it. And thank you in advance. All right, Bordy. So
yeah,
we teased this a little bit about at the beginning of the episode, but dude, I believe it's Friday, is exactly a month away from the date that they announced the last, alpha patch. That was the Great Axe and updates to the combat system.
Yeah, man. So we should be getting something soon, and I'm pretty excited to see it. I always look forward to those times, and I think that, dude, it's got to be getting close to us receiving some sort of information about new content. We've received new weapons. We've received a lot of updates to combat. We've received a lot of other things like tweaks to the game overall, and so it's got to be close, man. If not this month, I would think that maybe next month we'll get some big content drop, which I am incredibly excited for.
Yes, they're doing a really good job about the cadence of releases. I love that they're communicating with us about the info and the stuff that they're patching in on alpha. But dude, I wonder and I hope, and this is kind of probably a topic for another day, but I hope they can keep this cadence up, man. Adding, this decent flow of content on a monthly basis is definitely grounds for a healthy living game.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. They've been pumping it out, and they haven't been small changes either. I mean, every month they've been dropping some pretty big patch notes, so it's pretty exciting to see.
Yeah, so we know New World's going to be a buy-to-play game, so hopefully they keep this up and push on to the next expansion that I would proudly empty my pockets for. however long down the line that is. All right, dude. Well, so don't forget, guys, stay tuned to our Twitter account, obviously New World's Twitter account, because we should be hearing something maybe this week at the earliest. So we'll have plenty of coverage here on the podcast for you guys and on the YouTube channel. All right. So, Bordy, here's what we came to talk about tonight, which is the setting of New World, Aeternum, and why it sets it apart from other MMOs. And this is kind of something that we enjoy speculating on, especially, 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 or 99 out of 100 MMOs. They're typically set in a fantasy or high fantasy type realm or world or universe. But New World's different, Bordy. New World is set in an alternative a universe as the 1700s or the 17th century.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, man. It's definitely a different take on it, and I'm excited because as much as I like the high fantasy universe, I enjoy this a lot as well because it is very different. So that definitely sets New World apart. So I'm excited to talk about this tonight.
Yeah, so we're going to break this down, and we're going to try something new on the podcast for all our visual listeners, and hopefully this translates well into the podcast as well. We're going to break down the actual cinematic intro that you get when you play New World. So basically, this is subject to change. This is during the preview event, but I think there's some clues in here of kind of what exactly, we or where or when exactly New World is set and kind of the lore behind the setting of the game. So, Bordy, let's start right in here. I'm going to switch over to this thing. We're going to watch this video. So, and I'm going to narrate it for you guys because that's what I have to do for audio listeners. So, at the very beginning of the trailer, you see them kind of scroll down into what looks like a colonial setting or town in Europe of some sort. I think not a lot given here. Obviously, you see Captain Thorpe walking down the road of a stormy night, and he walks into a tavern to find our lovely priest friend. So a lot of this stuff is really interesting to me, Bordy, because obviously this is considered to be on the mainland of what it would be, the 17th century in this world, which is, again, is a very unique thing for an MMO to be set in, is like the current, or not current, obviously, in the past, but, actual Earth of the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, dude. But has anybody broke down if this armor is actually from some century, or if it's real armor from somewhere?
Well, it looks like
the style of
conquistador armor from Spanish, influence is what I have read and heard. The metallic face and everything like that. That hints at that. Hookem in chat mentions like it's a mix of all armors, and that's very possible. We may not see direct stylization because it is, again, like an alternative universe, but we have mentioned on the show before, and I believe Sir Medieval had a video about Vikings and all that stuff, so it does kind of lend itself to, obviously the 17th century and back. A lot of the, and again, another thing we're going to mention later on in this podcast, there's some African influence in there as well. So it's interesting. One of the things, I think we've talked a little bit about this, Bordy, is that they can really do whatever they want because Aeternum is a very unique, like, Bermuda Triangle type situation as far as, like, time setting goes or actual location goes, because you're basically lost at sea at that point.
Yeah, which is awesome, and I hope that they really play into that and lean into that a whole lot. And I brought up the armor because I didn't know. I was really interested in like the face mask in particular, and if that was like an actual thing somewhere. So I didn't know some kind of conquistador influence. I'm not a historian at all, though. By the way, I do not know my history. I am a CPA. I am not a historian. So, but it is interesting, and I like the fact that they use this type of stuff and that they are kind of playing on the 17th century and then taking us into an alternate age of discovery whenever they push us on into Aeternum here in a second in this video. So it's gonna be neat, man. I really want to see where they're gonna take this and if they're gonna lean more into the history influence. Do you think we're gonna get more of that with the game, like more realistic plays on things that actually happened?
Yes, I do. I think it's a very unique, unique setting that they have kind of created because, they will have the opportunity to visit a lot of historical things. As far as the world goes, they could, have like Roman influence, Egyptian influence, all of those things, because this has been, in the middle of the apparent Atlantic Ocean. building up a corrupted state that, as they paint the picture and he talks to the priest, he states that, if not dealt with, can destroy the world. So Hookem in chat's correcting us. He says the face mask is not conquistador, just the top of the helmet. What the heck? Hookem, are you a historian? You want to hop in chat? What are you doing? What are you doing, brother? I'll take his word for it. It's very interesting, again, that they have chosen, and the video that we're looking at right now, it is literally in the Atlantic Ocean. There is Europe. You can see what would be, I guess, Europa there, and then part of the African continent. And then over here you see South America, and then North America right up the top there. So this is, dude, it's smack dab in reality, or in historical reality.
Yeah, which is cool. Let's keep watching this video, man.
All right, so I'm going to hit play here. So you can see as they start to talk about, Aeternum and the corruption, you see explorers coming from all different parts of the map heading there. And obviously, as you play New World, the different armor influences and everything definitely reflect different parts of this, the exploration, or explorers go. And really, like, a lot of what we're talking about past this point is just the startup of the character. So, the historical part of the inference is the historical part. So we'll pause here and kind of talk about the rest of these points here. All right, dude. So again, in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So this is an important thing, I think, that we can kind of expand upon is, if it is an alternative 17th century, kind of set in that, I guess, like a more of like a dark time period. They do lean a lot towards the Dark Souls combat and the feel of, kind of a Gothic. The Gothic period was a little bit before all the 17th century stuff, but they kind of have that dark feel with the ghosts, the ghouls. The lost, which are basically like zombies or water washed zombies. So a lot of these, like, I hate to say it, it's more of a horror slant than you're used to in most MMOs.
Yeah, it is for sure, man. It definitely has a dark take to it, which is another thing that I think sets New World apart in terms of the environment and the aesthetic. I don't think there were goblins and ghouls back in the 17th century, though, Red. Were there?
Not that you know of. You weren't alive back then. That's very possible. So here's some interesting things, Bordy, and this is something that I will maybe spawn some more conversation. Will they lean towards like that, the folklore or myth of that time period, which we know this was like the 17th century was at the end of both the witch trials and werewolf trials of Europe. So Bordy, do you think is it possible that we'll start to see maybe some leans into that sort of culture if they haven't already got in the game already?
I mean, maybe so, dude. I kind of hope not, man. To be honest, I don't really want. I mean, having werewolf mobs and stuff in there is fine, but I really hope they don't go the way of ESO and allow you to like turn into a werewolf or morph into a werewolf or something. I'm not about that, and I hope they don't go that route just because it's been done a whole bunch of times. And I don't know, man. I would rather just it stay how it is. I'm not too keen on morphing into a werewolf. I don't think that fits New World, which I guess it could fit the lore of New World. I mean, anything could at this point, but I just hope they don't go down that route, dude. I don't want to morph into a werewolf in New World.
You don't. Well, you don't have to, okay? Because there are other people out there that want to.
Yeah, but I don't want anybody to.
Okay.
I want to be selfish.
Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah. All right. Well, okay. So your stance on werewolves are very firm. It sounds like. Maybe you could be a witch then.
No, dude, I don't want to morph into anything.
Well, you don't have to morph into a witch. You just use magic, dude.
Well, true. You just use your staff, I guess. But I don't want them to go into that. I mean, adding some other things might be cool. Adding some depth to the stats or whatever, cool. But I just don't want to go in down that road, man. I would like to keep it where it is in terms of the combat and how things play out with PvP. I don't want to go down that road to having these long ability lines of werewolves and witches and all that. I don't want to go that route, man. It's been done. ESO does it. There's other MMOs that do it. I would rather it stay how it is.
Okay, well, then you're not going to like the next topic, which is vampires, which, again, is more of an 18th century, maybe more of an 18th century thing from my research, which was minimal at this point. But that was more of like, again, a European thing or folklore or myth, basically around the 18th century as when a lot of those started to like surface or become more of like a stronger influence as far as mythology goes. Or I don't know, what am I using the right term? Lore, mythology, folklore, folk tales. What am I supposed to be saying? I don't even know at this point.
All of them are good, man. You're
okay,
spot on.
Fine, great, yeah.
So again, with the vampires, dude, I don't want vampires, werewolves. That's just my personal opinion. I'm sure there's people out there that would think that'd be dope to turn into a werewolf and a vampire and kind of have an ESO feel. I'm not in that boat, man. I don't want them to go down that route. I think there's other ways to diversify and to make things a little bit different than morphing into some creature, dude. I'm not a fan of that, and I hope that they don't go that route, dude.
Okay, so basically, here, I'll pitch this to you. Do you think, with these conversations that we're apparently not having because you don't like them, about witch, werewolf, and vampires, do you think there's ever an alternative plan for them to not just have weapons or skill trees that are based around like a weapon of some sort, but actual like different abilities, like maybe like and again, whether you want it or not, like a werewolf skill tree, where then your abilities are based off of your bite or whatever, or possibly vampire or et cetera, witchcraft, things that aren't tied to necessarily the weapon you're yielding, but maybe some sort of different cantation.
I guess so. I mean, maybe they could. I don't see why that they couldn't put that in the game. I don't know, man. It's hard to say. I would imagine that at some point down the road, maybe with an expansion, that we may get some kind of different ability trees or some kind of expanded ability trees or something. Dude, I don't know, man. I hope not. I hope we don't go this route, though. I hope they're intuitive and imaginative, because there's so much more they can do with the world of Aeternum than give us witches, werewolves, and vampires, dude. I mean, let's not go that way, dude.
Let's not.
No, man. I don't want werewolves.
They can have all
fight
of
a werewolf. They can have werewolves in there. Let's go fight them. But I don't want to turn into one. I don't want to turn into a vampire either, dude. It's dumb.
My goal now, if werewolves are in the game, my goal is to eventually cause you to be enacted. You know what I mean? I'll cause you to be a werewolf against your will, somehow. In a PvP match, I'll bite you, and then you'll have no choice but to become a werewolf. And then you'll. That's it. That's what's gonna happen. Anyways, so yeah, I think obviously we know that they're probably gonna add some more staffs. It's possibly there might be some sort of druid. Nature type staff that might allow you to transform or into an animal, a wolf or a bear or something like that. I think that's a very strong possibility at this point. Some sort of shaman.
I mean,
druid.
I think that's fine if it's attached to that particular ability, right? Like if you have a druid staff and the druid staff allows you to like polymorph into a bear or something that's druid like, I think that's probably fine. And then maybe that transitions over into an entirely different skill tree or something like that. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But having everybody just be able to turn into a werewolf or a vampire, in my opinion, is dumb. I don't like that, and I hope they don't add that. Don't let me get bit by a vampire and then turn into a vampire, and then everybody on the maps running around as werewolves and vampires, dude. I don't enjoy that. And it also becomes a problem. I think whenever you do that stuff, though, you got to be very careful, because it becomes a problem with balancing. I know right now in the meta in ESO, I still kind of pay attention to that a little bit, and I know werewolves are completely OP right now. And I've heard multiple people say that. It's all over the subreddit. It's all over everywhere. The werewolves are just crazy strong right now, and I think that they've got to be very careful by doing things like that. So I don't know. I think having a druid staff would be cool and polymorphing that way. That might be neat, but no, I don't want to get bit and turn into a werewolf.
So, one of the interesting things, and ESO is kind of a little bit of a different thing, because I think you can, whether you're a druid or there's no druid, warden or dragon knight or nightblade, you can be a werewolf. I think that poses a problem to some extent, but the idea of maybe, again, we're currently working with a pick 3 type of thing as far as builds in New World goes, and I know we may be off on a little bit of a tangent at this point, but so then that kind of creates the limitations for characters as far as your choices go. They are much more important, and we mentioned because there are no classes, right? You're kind of the class that you are, or your character's built around the weapons you yield or the equipment that you have equipped at the current time. So it'll be interesting to see, because right now, with the changes to the primary attributes, there is going to be possibly some limitations on that front if you're pumping all your stats into strength or what have you. So these alternative types of skill lines may be their way of hedging, into, not having to exactly yield 2 weapons, but still using up your third active ability bar or something like that. But this is really the time or the place to have that conversation. We can talk about that later. But it sounds like you're definitely against the alternative, like witch warlock, stuff like that. So we'll move on, Bordy, to now this time, and this is important because the 17th century was a big time of it was like the last period of colonization or exploration. Everybody kind of claiming up the remaining islands and pieces of the New World, so to say. No pun intended. So, Bordy, this is a classic, and I think it kind of sets the vibe and the setting for New World. You have these explorers that are looking for, whether it be gold or perhaps like the Fountain of Youth or some sort of like extraterrestrial type of finding that might make them powerful or invincible or whatever. All these people are also looking to claim up the rest of the land. This kind of, in my mind, kind of sets that setting with the corruption and everything like that. A lot of these, people are doing this to increase the power or the influence of their country or their group of people. So it's interesting to see Aeternum kind of, or New World in general, based around that same concept. Everybody's trying to grab up territory and settlements to kind of claim for their own, and what that might cause and what that might bring in the lore of New World.
Yeah, it does kind of lean into that a lot, but one of the things I want to talk about is the exploration, how they can expand upon that too. That's one of the things you were talking about there, and I think that they have a very unique opportunity with the setting of Aeternum here, and I hope that they don't short sight us there, and they give us a lot of little nooks and crannies to explore, and hopefully we'll get a little bit better questing system that sends us on these journeys to explore these areas of Aeternum, because the environment is so good that they have an opportunity to make some very, very interesting points of interest and just some very interesting areas to go explore. So I really hope that they lean into the exploration side of things a lot more than there is now. There's some pretty cool areas in New World right now, and some pretty cool little secrets you can find, like the Rabbit Island. If you guys aren't familiar with that was a pretty cool little thing that they had in the preview event, which I'm sure will fall over or roll over to release. But I hope they add more things like that, and then go a little bit more in depth on the exploration side of things, because it is such a unique setting that I think it could be a really, really fun to just run around and find various things within the world. So hopefully they'll, make us some cool little spots to explore.
Yes, sir. So one of the things, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, boy, I think it's very interesting because of the nature of Aeternum and kind of how it brings the dead back to life. All those people that are lost at sea that roll up on the shores kind of come back as zombies. And, you have the ancients who appear to be undying. What do you think about those kind of hints or those, inclinations towards this being like maybe the location of the Fountain of Youth or something of that sorts, where, this island of Aeternum is a place that kind of breeds, that sort of feel as far as like now that this one thing that all these explorers have kind of been, searching for and looking for, they finally found, and it ends up being this terrible, evil thing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, dude. I like that spin on it a lot. It's like you go there looking for something that's going to give you this incredible power, or potentially something like a Fountain of Youth type of thing, and then it turns out to be some very corrupt influence, or sometimes it is a very corrupt influence. Sometimes it can be good, but that's one of the things too, man. The whole Azoth thing that they have in the game right now with the preview event. Whenever the game was being advertised, they talked about how Azoth could turn you into something just incredibly powerful, or just be some corrupt, terrible thing, and you don't really see that a whole lot in the game. Like Azoth is just used for fast travel, basically, and then there's a few other things, but it's like, I want to see Azoth be the substance that they say that it's going to be in all of the trailers and all of the videos they were pumping out a year or so ago, and it would be cool to have some sort of Azoth crafting system, I think, so that if you gather up enough Azoth, you put together these ingredients, and then you create this crazy Azoth buff that gives you an unknown buff, or an unknown what a debuff or something. I don't know. I would like to see them do something with the Azoth more than what it's done with now.
Yeah, and true. The leaning, or they kind of hinted at a way that would basically, allow you to bring out whatever the intent of your character would be, and it kind of, I guess, hinted at maybe like some sort of like what is the best way to describe this? Corruption system within the player base, like if you're making bad decisions, or you're PKing people out there in the world, or you're stealing or robbing, you have a more corrupted influence, and maybe Azoth turns you even into a more evil, corrupted person, whether if you're an outstanding citizen, one that helps your faction or company and stays clean and doesn't have unlawful kills or whatever like that, then Azoth may have a different effect on your character. They did paint that picture that may be something in the game, maybe in the future, that we'll see that kind of Azoth brings to the table. But you're right, as far as like what we know so far from the preview event and what they put out in these alpha patches, Azoth really isn't as big of a thing as maybe it might be in the future.
Yeah, and I hope that they at some point play into that. And I don't want to open up this can of worms either, but there is no unlawful killing in New World anymore, man. There's
right,
not really
right. So I think they'll have to reimagine that system in some form or fashion. Maybe aside from your faction choice, you will have to choose maybe eventually you'll have to go down maybe an in-game type of thing. You may have to choose like your stance or faction within the world of Aeternum. Align yourselves with maybe the Angry Earth or the Ancients or the Corrupted or whatever. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know what they're going to do. I hope they do something with it, though. I hope Azoth becomes a big thing, a much bigger part of the game than it currently is.
Yeah, I agree. All right, dude. Well, I just wanted to have a little bit of a conversation. We obviously are waiting on new news from the alpha patch front. So, I think it was interesting to explore. Let us know how terrible of a job we did with the historic value of the 17th century. I
probably no value there, dude. I didn't say anything about it.
I mean, but that's not unique to this episode. You know what I'm saying? So, Bordy, why don't you tell people about the company of the week?
Dude, that was very hurtful.
Hey, come on, man.
No, man, I just left it out there, but you didn't have to take it, bro.
My bad. Yeah. Well, you shouldn't. Okay. I thought you were setting me up. It's my bad.
No. I wasn't setting you up. You dang, dude. All right, man. Company of the week, Purple Dragon. Their EU region, their faction is Syndicate, English speaking, focuses PVX, size 51 plus. They are currently recruiting. They say on their recruitment page here that they are EU only, and they're recruiting for the upcoming playtest this was a little bit older in November and eventually for the full release in 2021. So they are still recruiting. So it says, who are we? We're a bunch of people who enjoy playing MMOs, the competitive mindset. They played the preview and reached max level and did most of the in-game content. And they come from other MMOs with significant achievements. And it said what they expect from you. They want you to put effort into the company. They want you to have a good performance. They want you to be able to speak and type English. You're vocal during activities, not afraid of speaking up. You have a reliable internet connection and computer. You want to have fun with other members and not tend to toxic behavior, and you can take criticism without being negative. So this seems like they're a little bit leaning more towards the hardcore side of things because they want you to put a lot of effort into the company. They also want you to perform well in the activities that they partake in. So it looks like it's going to be a good company to be a part of if you want to be a competitive player in New World and you are an EU player, because they are an EU only company. And of course, we'll link all of that in the show notes and in the YouTube description below, and that will include their Discord information. So if you're interested in joining the Purple Dragon, you can click that link and go right over there and join up.
Yes, we thank you, Purple Dragons, for using New World fans as your as a way to promote your company. If you guys are interested in joining companies, it's a great place to go search for one. Also, if you're kind of trying to set one up for the launch of New World, go create an account and post your company over there, and you might have a chance to be on the podcast and get a little bit of a pub, you know what I'm saying, to help build your company. So we thank the Purple Dragons, of course. Bordy, next episode is our 50th episode, dude.
It's crazy, man.
5-0. We will, at that point, it'll be close. I don't think, do we ever miss a week on the podcast? We did like a filler, but we did like a so we're like, I mean, we're all coming up on a year of coverage of New World. This is our longest podcast. Obviously, we've only had one before this one. But dude, it's been awesome. We hope to have a guest next episode. I don't know if we shouldn't announce it until we okay it, I guess. But we hope to have another unfamiliar face or familiar face to you guys on the podcast for the 50th episode. So stay tuned for that. Bordy, it's been a fun one. Why don't you tell people where they find you or where they can find you on the internet?
Yeah, man. Twitch.tv/BDLG. Twitter is @TheBDLG, and then creating content on YouTube.com/Studio Loot.
Yes, and I'm Redbird with Y. You can find me over at Twitch. And on Twitter, I am Redbird is my tag. Guys, go follow or sub to the YouTube account. We really appreciate that as well. And hang tight, boys. We're in the stretch. This is 2021. New World will launch in 2021. I would put money on that. I hope in May when they say it's going to. But we'll see.
Yeah, me too, dude. Me too.
I'm dying for a game. We're ready to play New World. We're ready to no life this thing, dude.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. I don't know what that was. I'm not editing that out, guys. You guys are going to have to deal with that awkward silence. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening and watching.
Moan,
yeah, that was. I was just mimicking, my best Lost impression. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh, dude. Let's wrap this thing up.
I'm trying, dude. You started talking.
Jeez.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening and watching. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next episode. Episode 50 of New World to Go.